And welcome back to the show. I'm Joe Concha, as always, joined by my wingman, Goose Unger.
Goose?
Never leave your wingman. Also joining us tonight, our better half, that's Heather Hansen and Jenny Crumpton. They were just seen a second ago. Secretary of State John Kerry went in front of the Senate today to address the Senate Republicans' controversial letter to Iran.
My reaction to the letter was utter disbelief. During my 29 years here in the Senate, I never heard of, nor even heard of it being proposed, anything comparable to this. If I had, I can guarantee you, no matter what the issue and no matter who was president, I would have certainly rejected it.
So not only did Mr. Kerry slam Senator Tom Cotton and others who signed that letter, but we're now hearing of some Republican members of Congress questioning the decision to send it at all. Senator Bob Corker, who chairs the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, did not sign said letter and says in a Daily Beast interview, and we quote, "I didn't think it was going to further our efforts to get to a place where Congress would play the appropriate role that it should in Iran. I did not think the letter was something that was going to help us get to an outcome that we're all seeking." So let's bring back in Congressman Pete Hoekstra. Mr. Hoekstra, thanks for joining us again from Washington. We appreciate it.
Yep.
You heard the Secretary. Is he on point, and did the GOP make a major mistake politically?
I don't think he is on point. Number one, it is not unprecedented. I believe before we went to war with Saddam Hussein, we saw David Bonnier and Representative McDermott actually visit Iraq, and I think that would be a very similar type of thing where people made the argument, hey, you're undercutting the president at this very critical time as we're deciding what we're going to do in Iraq. And there have been other examples. So you've got two different issues here. One is it unprecedented? No. Things like this have happened before. Congress or elements of Congress have confronted previous presidents when those members felt significant differences of policy with the incumbent president. So that's happened. The second thing is, the debate about does it help further the cause or does it, weaken the policy as we move forward, and that's a political debate, but it's a very different debate than what Secretary Kerry was saying. This has never happened before, unprecedented. That's not accurate.
Congressman, it's Rick Unger. I agree with you when you say it's not unprecedented. It has indeed happened before. What I find odd, though, and the best example I can think of were the 10 Democrats who got involved with Daniel Ortega when President Reagan was trying to run his foreign policy. At that time, Newt Gingrich accused those people of doing something that was not only wrong, but borderline illegal, and it's very similar to this. In other words, every time the Democrats have done it, Republicans have claimed that it was way out of bounds. I agree with them. Why is it suddenly okay now when it wasn't okay before?
Well, I'm not sure that you're going to find that any of these 46 members who signed the letter were around then, but this is what goes around comes around in politics, and you got to be very, very careful. The bottom line, what I think this shows, is how broken the foreign policy apparatus and the mechanisms have become here in America. This should really be a bipartisan coming together of this is a really critical issue. What are we going to do to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon? This just demonstrates the process is broken. Both sides have moved too far off of the spectrum of reasonable politics, and who suffers is the country suffers. But I think Democrats and Republicans, you can accurately say, have both over dramatized this, over in the previous 20 years. Republicans and Democrats both.
Congressman, we appreciate your thoughts on this and your candor, quite frankly. Don't see that very often in these sort of interviews. So thanks for joining us, and enjoy what looks like a nice day down there in Washington.
That's beautiful. Hey, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
This is a first for me. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Not a problem, and not too bad here either, we might add. So, Jenny, I want to come to you. By the way, you're appropriately dressed, by the way, for the warm weather. I think we almost hit 60 here. Not
Yeah, it's
bad.
fabulous.
So we've seen over the last year, particularly, that the president has been going at it alone with executive orders. And does that tone that's been set now, is that kind of emboldening Congress to say, okay, if he's going to do that, now we're going to do it? Rick put it correctly where he says it's almost two wrongs making a right, that if the president goes it alone, we're going to go at it alone and no one's working together. It's almost unsettling to watch.
Look, I cannot imagine a situation as important and critical as making sure that Iran does not get nuclear weapons. This is a very serious situation, and there were Republicans today being interviewed saying that this was a lighthearted and cheeky letter that they sent to the Iranian leaders.
You think it had emoticons in
Actually,
it?
it was, I'm sorry?
You think it had emoticons in it? You know, in other words, smiley faces?
Oh, emoticons.
Emoticons?
Yeah.
I thought they were emoticons.
Emoticons.
See, I never used them, so I couldn't
Well, they
tell
do
you.
have diverse emoticons now,
You knew they
so it
were in
could have
trouble
been
when
a
they started making that
right.
argument today.
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, this was a full-on threat to the Iranian leaders, saying that once they supposedly get into power in 2016 and have a Republican White House, they will trash this thing on day one. I mean, this is the reason that the United States is starting to look like a circus. Our foreign policy is not broken. I completely disagree with the congressman that we just interviewed. It is our partisan government that is the problem.
Well, it's certainly never been more polarizing
to be united.
than ever, Heather. But I remember this happened, I think it was before the 2012 election, where President Obama sat down with then President Medvedev of Russia and said, just after the election, I'll have a lot more flexibility. I'll be able to work with you then. So
It is unbelievable to me when you start to piece together the different things that have been said about this agreement. You know, we keep saying we don't know what it is, we don't know what it is. But if you look at what Josh Earnest has said, and you look at what Biden has said, and now you look at what Kerry has said, you can put together that what they're trying to do is find a way around Congress to make this an agreement, which is non-binding, take it to the UN for them to vote on it, similar to what we did when we put Russia and the United States got together and took the chemical weapons away from Syria. That is unacceptable, and it's understandable that Congress would be livid about the fact that this administration continually tries to take them out of the mix.
Well,
and that
unfortunately,
anger
Congress-
leads to perhaps less thought out letters than they would like.
Rick's final word.
Well, you know, Heather makes a point. I actually disagree with the way the administration's doing it. I think it should go to the Senate for review. But that doesn't justify what these 49 senators did. It was wrong, period. End of story. Republicans know it. We know it. But that doesn't moot the argument that you're making, which is it should go to the Senate.
It gets stuck in our politics, though, and we can't have that.
Okay, Jenny gets the last one. So coming up next, has Hollywood given up on Hillary Clinton? This is the Daily Wrap only on Newsmax TV.